to the bag again and kind of clean things up and tighten things up, add a few more darker accents. Especially there's some darks that go around where the Twix lettering is when the bag turns from light into shadow, where there's no reflected light there, so it's a little bit darker. But now what I'm doing is just cleaning up some of the areas that on my first pass were a little too loose and just working on some of the slight tone and color shifts in the lettering. And now I'm going to start putting some of the accents and highlights in, basically on the band of light that is on the left-hand side of the bag. So that's kind of one of the main areas I'm going to be working on towards the finish, is trying to get a nice mix there. It's always important to identify the most important part of the painting. Your focal point within even a still life is there's going to be an area that has to really sing well in order to create the visual interest necessary to finish the painting. So the inside of the bag here has more of a silvery color. So I'm mixing some of these lighter, cleaner, cooler grays, and it will pair nicely with all the warm coppery tones of the outside of the bag. So I'm just really going to try and capitalize on that dynamic between the coolness and the warmth that we have in order to create a little bit more visual interest. And that's why when I set up the bag, I wanted to show some of that, of the inside of the bag in it once I saw that visually. And so even just the way you set it up can allow you to have opportunities to create more visual interest. And so it's really something, a big part of the art of still life painting is the way you set up the objects that you're going to paint. So you can see at this point, I'm being a lot more thoughtful and a lot slower in my painting process as I'm trying to think where certain highlights need to go, certain accents, areas that aren't interesting enough, and also areas that may be catching too much attention that I need to knock back a little bit, like the cast shadow edge on the right-hand side of the canvas, which I diminished a bit, and what I need to add a little bit. So for instance, on this little piece of candy down at the bottom, I want to have a little bit more reflective surface down there. I think it just adds a little bit more visual interest. really start assessing the final details here, and with a smaller brush. So since most of the painting is broad brushed, having a little bit smaller brush here can add a dynamic element to the piece by contrasting some of the big bold strokes with some more delicate details.